If we do cut out, don't you worry, we'll be back. Fingers crossed, it should be fine. So firstly, we'll do our introductions. I'm Georgie. I'm the operational manager for 5K Away. And our guest today is Vicki Gilbert. So thank you so much for joining us, Vicki, and welcome.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
And Vicki is a channel relay swimmer, a lecturer in PE, a sign language teacher. She's living beyond cancer, an amputee, a volunteer at the Leeds Teaching Hospitals, and not to mention a fundraiser, a mum to 3 children, and one of our fabulous Woodhouse Moor Leeds 5K Away ambassadors. Probably much more, but that's just my shortened list. So Vicki's life has not been without challenges, and we're going to discuss how she's overcome challenges and the amazing things she's achieved whilst building resilience. So thanks so much for taking the time to join us, Vicki. I'm honoured and excited to talk to you. I think we're going to have a nice chat. So first of all, we said we'd kind of take you back to when you were 19 and you were in your first year at Leeds Poly, it was called then, wasn't it?
It was
Leeds second Poly. Year.
I'd just gone into my second year, so the autumn of the second year, doing a PE degree.
And now you're a PE lecturer, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching the same stuff that I learned back then.
That's brilliant.
Maybe hopefully it's a little bit enhanced now.
Brilliant. So yeah, if we can go back to then and tell us about that time of your life and when you unfortunately received some devastating news.
Yeah, I like I say, I was in the second year. It's just started the second year of a 4-year degree in physical education to become a secondary PE teacher, and that had always been my ambition. I knew that I wanted to do that since I was 14, and I also had an ambition, though, to first of all to go in the RAF as a physical training instructor. I'd been in the cadets, and I really enjoyed that side of it, and I had a bursary to go to university and do that. And I had some pain in my right knee, from the summer of my first year, and it became more and more painful. And I remember my dad saying to me, if you need to go and get it checked out, he'd got some medical insurance still through his company. And so it got to about the November of that year, and I was having real problems. So I got a referral and saw an orthopedic consultant, and he said at that point that I had a tumour, about a conker-sized tumour in the top of my shin bone in my right leg, but it was a cyst. So that's what it was diagnosed as. So it was a bit of a shock. They tried a couple of things, had me in hospital, gave me an infusion to try and stop it, and actually that kicked it all off with the pain. And I remember I was captain of the women's lacrosse team at Leeds Poly at the time, because that's something that I played at school and really enjoyed, and I played a match and I just couldn't even walk on it after that, and I ended up calling the consultant that had done the infusion in Leeds General, and he actually, bizarrely, when I think back to it now, he actually came and got me from my student house in his Mini and took me into Leeds General. Yeah, I think about it now, it was so strange, but and he took me into the hospital, and the next morning I went to theatre, and they cleaned out what they said was this tumour, and they said they'd taken some biopsies, but they saw my parents and they said, we don't think it's anything sinister. It was a mess, but it wasn't anything sinister. And I had about a 4-inch long scar on my top, just under my knee. And then all of a sudden, 2 days after that, they called my parents to Leeds, and they told them that I had terminal cancer, bone cancer. It was very rare, and that I literally had days to live.
Gosh, how do you even begin to comprehend that? Them saying
that? It was just so, well, my first question was, am I going to die? And they were really honest in that they said, well, we don't know, because they couldn't lie to me. But they hadn't told me what had happened in that room, where they'd said, oh, I think she's got maybe my mum asked if it was months, weeks, days, and the registrar said the latter, I think. So they certainly didn't tell me that. But then they said, oh, we can treat it after a few days. And then they sent me to the Royal Orthopaedic Hospital in Birmingham, who was the super regional centre for bone tumours. Right. There's 3 centres in the UK, and that was the nearest one to Leeds, so I got sent there. And then the specialist pathologist there, the histopathologist, she confirmed the diagnosis. And then I had one chemotherapy in Leeds at what was Cookridge Hospital, which is shut down now, which was just horrific. It was an awful experience as a teenager. And then I went to Birmingham and I had all the subsequent chemotherapies there and numerous operations, including a huge one in the January of the following year. So I was diagnosed in the November and this was in the following January. And they took out 3/4 of my shin bone, my knee, the head of the femur. They put like metal pins up into the remaining bone and it was like a hinge knee joint. It was a massive operation and they brought a muscle round to the front of from my calf to the front of my shin, and it was like one of the most painful things I've ever had.
Wow, gosh, that I can't imagine. Yeah, and how do you begin to get your head around that at 19 years old when you're in the middle, you're in your second year of university?
Yeah, and I just was so determined not to. I didn't want to go down a year. I didn't want to go with a different cohort of students and have to resit anything. I was just absolutely adamant about that. And the lecturers, a couple of whom are still there now and people I keep in touch with, they were really supportive, and the other students, and they enabled me to keep on with the studies. And it was literally the time where there was just some mobile phones and there was just some laptops, and because we're talking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And my dad worked for Unilever and they gave him a laptop that I could use in hospital, and then the poor guy had to take me back to Leeds every time after I was so poorly with chemo. I was literally sick every half an hour, and you were on chemo for 4 days at a time, infusions. And I was so poorly, and then he would take me in a right state, puking all the way down the motorway. We used to laugh because we'd just leave these little grey bowls all along the hard shoulder from Birmingham to Leeds.
And anyone found those, be like, what is going on here?
I know. And he just laughed. It would leave me in Leeds, much to their horror, I can imagine now as a parent. But I think I was that headstrong. He'd probably laughing his socks off if he's watching this. That I was like, that's what I want to do. And I got lifts up to the lectures. So when I was there, I did that. And I think they said to me, they had a meeting, they said, if you can do, because obviously this went on for a significant time, and they said, if you can do your second year teaching practice and then do these assignments and then have a viva, then, you can still potentially pass the year, even though I was going to be absent from quite a lot of. So I was just determined that that's what I was going to do.
And that's what happened. You still passed the year.
Yeah, I remember I went to this teaching practice. They said to me, in their wisdom, they said, well, we'll let you do a primary practice instead of a secondary. And I know where they were coming from. They were thinking, well, if she does primary, she won't have to go outside like every lesson for PE, and it might be a bit easier, because I was still on crutches at that point and I'd had this huge operation.
Yeah. And
I had no hair or anything. So I can just imagine they were the same, like absolutely horrified about what I was doing. But then, of course, I hadn't had any training on how to teach primary. And they put me with a year 6 class, so 10 to 11-year-olds. And I had to teach English, maths, science, history, geography, art, you name it. So I actually ended up doing so much more work. But do you know what? The saving grace was that I was put with a very experienced teacher called Mary. And after that practice, I always kept in touch with Mary right until last year, unfortunately, when she passed away from motor neurone disease. I kept in touch with Mary for all that time, because I'd come in the morning, and little did we know till after it finished, I was completely anemic, which is really common when you have that type of chemo I had. And I'd feel absolutely dreadful. I think I was probably green around the gills. And I'd sit down on one of those little chairs in the classroom like this, and she'd put down a glass of water and a cup of tea. This is at like about 8:30, before the year 6 came in. And I'd have those, and then we'd get through the day. And she was just an amazing inspiration to me as a teacher, but also as a huge support to get through that practice in that state, really. My dad told me as well recently that one of the lecturers at the time, he was my supervisor, and he'd come in to see me. And he was that petrified. He'd rung my dad and said, do you know what? I think I think that she might just drop down. She might. I'm so worried that she might die because
Oh no.
I must look that ill because I just wore like a bandana because luckily, funnily enough, it must mean I haven't got many brains. I haven't got a very big head. I only know this because I lost all my hair a couple of times and I can wear like children's baseball caps and things. So I didn't look like a big T-file head with no hair. So I just used to wear a bandana because I was a PE teacher, so it was like this type of clothing and
Yeah, sport clothing.
So, and I remember in those days, so we're talking 30 years ago, I had to go down to Leeds and get given this wig prescribed by the NHS. It was absolutely horrific. And I'd never had a fringe. I don't have one now. And this wig had this fringe and it was just awful. And it was
not what you wanted.
So hot and itchy as well. I was like, I am not wearing that. So I just used to wear a bandana. And I remember being in the nursery class at the school. So I went and did a little bit in some of the different classes because I like teaching all the age groups. And this little child in nursery, must have been about 3, and she was pulling on my trousers. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, why have you got an egg for a head? And the nursery teacher nearly fell off the chair because she was just like, oh my life. And so I just explained to her. And yeah, well, I think that's the great thing about children, though. I've had that all through sort of life as a disabled person since then, of children asking questions and looking. And I feel very much with children that it's so important to explain. And it's hard because parents, as a parent myself, I know what it's like if children say something because they generally just say what they think or ask questions that just come into their head, usually at the top of their voice, so that everyone within a 5-mile radius can hear. And you know, they'll say, why has that lady only got one leg? And all that
really loudly.
And the parents are like, oh my life. But I just sort of give them a simple basic explanation, and I just think it's really important.
No, definitely, yeah. That's it's important for, and I think if everybody had just asked and was honest about it, then you know, it's like children were. Then, so that kind of leads us on to you had your treatment, and you passed the second year, and you didn't fall down and go green. So that was good news.
Oh, I had 4 pints of blood after that teaching practice.
Oh gosh, wow.
That's how many pints I needed after that.
Wow. And so then you had your treatment, and then you finished your treatment, and then less than 12 months later, you found out some more news. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I finished that year at university and successfully passed it, which I was absolutely made up about.
That's
so I was
fantastic.
still in the same year group with all my friends, because there were only 35 of us on that course. So it's you knew everyone. It wasn't like there was 300 people that you didn't know. And then I actually had a fall that summer, and I damaged the bone in my ankle that was left, and I ended up in a cast. And on one of the visits to get the cast changed, my dad and I were taken into a room, and basically we were told that they'd made a mistake and that the cancer hadn't been cancer, and it had been a benign tumour, which is what the original orthopaedic surgeon diagnosed in the first place, and that all the treatment had been unnecessary.
How did you even begin to react to that?
I was just horrified. I was absolutely horrified. And I remember now, again, as a parent, thinking, why did I do that? But again, we didn't readily have mobile phones and things. And my mum was at work, and I said, I need to speak to my mum. And what had happened that day, because the other thing they'd said was that I read it in the notes, and then in a bone tumour booklet, it said that I had metastases disease to the chest, which basically meant it had spread to my lungs. And so that day I went to the QE hospital in Birmingham and had or Selly Oak Hospital, whichever one in Birmingham, and I had a CT scan of my chest in theory, hopefully that would be clear after all the treatment. And so when they took us into this room, I thought, oh, that's it. You know, it's back, it's spread, it's, you know, all that. And never did we think they were going to tell us that. And so I ended up, they brought a handset into the room and plugged it into the wall. And I rang my mum at work and said, I haven't got cancer. And she was like, oh, thank goodness for that, thinking that the scans were clear. And I said, no, you don't understand. I've never had cancer. And so the poor woman was at work, and then I just wanted out of there. And then they told us that they wouldn't release names to the press, that it'd just be hospital numbers. But, it did leak out within 24 hours of the news coming out, and it was massive. It was like the BBC van were parked across the drive. They were paying other students at university to sell them photographs of me, and it was awful. And in the end, my dad got a solicitor recommended, and we got a solicitor. And in the end, I did an exclusive with the Daily Mail, because they said to me, because they were making up all sorts of stuff, and it turned out that there was nearly 70 people that had been wrongly diagnosed. And what had happened is there was the expert histopathologist. She had MS and she couldn't see the slides properly. So she'd made a catalogue of mistakes, and it had all come to light. So still to this day, it's referred to as the UK's biggest cancer diagnosis scandal. And I see why, because they wrongly diagnosed a lot of people.
That's awful. Gosh, horrendous. And this was after and then since then you found out that you hadn't had cancer. All of the whole treatment, the whole year you'd just been through was completely unnecessary. And then even then after that you had to lose your leg as well.
Yeah, what happened was, because it was such a massive surgery that I'd had, that I think maybe if I'd sat on the couch for the rest of my life, it might have been okay.
But even talking to you for 2 minutes, I know that would never have happened.
Well, because I couldn't play lacrosse. So I used to play lacrosse, football, and volleyball mostly at university. They were sort of what I really got into, and I couldn't do any of those. So, I tried afterwards, and it was just through sheer bloody-mindedness that I tried. And all that I realised is I couldn't do it the same as I could do it before. It was impossible. And so I decided the only thing that I was going to be able to do, that I was a reasonably good all-rounder at, was swimming, because I was a reasonably good all-rounder at all sports. I was never county standard at any particular one, but I could do everything from gymnastics to kayaking, you name it. So I thought, right, that's it, I'm going to swim. And I joined the university swim club, and I was useless with tumble turning, but then it all clicked into place, and that's what I did at that point. And because really our whole lives at university then, at Poly then, was, because it was a sports college, it was a sort of a faculty, a school of sport, that was, our whole lives were based around that. We'd play sport on a Wednesday afternoon, we'd go out, we'd play sport on a weekend. When we wanted something to do, we'd go and play five-a-side. The whole lives was. I worked by the time I'd been there about 3 months, I worked in the university sports centre. Our whole lives were around that, and I just thought, I can't live without having something that I can still do, where I feel sort of on a par with other people and don't feel too disadvantaged.
And swimming straight away did that for you? It
did, yeah. Because when I was in the water, before I lost my leg, before I ended up having my leg amputated, I could swim fine. But I got to the point where, so I swam in some disability events, and then ended up getting better and better. And I went to regionals and nationals for disability swimming. And I remember being at Sheffield at Ponds Forge and doing it in the warm-up pool there, and my leg was hurting, and I was like, this isn't good, not while I'm swimming. And there were a lot of amputees, because it was a disability event. And I spoke to a lot of people, and I'd had a lot of pain, and I was on a lot of painkillers by this point, and I think I'd had 13 operations by this point.
Gosh.
And I just went, and we're supposed to stay in Sheffield for the weekend, and I went home that night and said to my then fiance, I think I'm going to have an elective amputation. And he was like, what? Everyone was really shocked. But I just sort of, I could almost see that if I carried on that trajectory, and particularly with that amount of pain, that, well, I just thought, to be fair, I'll probably end up being sectioned in the end, because I can't deal with this amount of pain when I'm 23 years old.
So at 23 years old, you had an elective
Yeah,
operation?
I had it in the end. Let me see, in '96. So yeah, I was 24. But I went and did quite a lot of research. At the time, you couldn't get anything on. Well, there wasn't the internet. I had to go to the British Library at Boston Spa and pay to get some articles and sit in their library. And I did quite a lot of research, because I had a lot of scaremongering from people around. You know, if you have your leg off, you'll have phantom pain. But and I remember them saying to me, I think it was like on operation number 12 or something, they said, if you carry on like this, you'll lose your leg within 10 years. So I was like, well, what's the point in waiting for 10 years? By which point, you know, will I have a career? Will I have, you know, what will be the situation? So but then they said to me that I was not in a fit state of mind to make that decision. So I had to have a second opinion, and I had to see a psychiatrist. And eventually I could only go back to the same hospital where they'd wrongly diagnosed me as well.
Really? Oh, I bet that was not brought back memories.
Oh, it was awful, because not so much that, you know, a hospital is a hospital at the end of the day, but the staff, you know, they knew what had happened. I was part of that huge scandal. There was a massive public inquiry afterwards, and lots of things changed there. And I was part of that, and some of them didn't even know what to say to me.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult going back there. You know, I'm sure things would be very different now. And one of the things is that they didn't have like teenage cancer services like they have now. So they have, like here in Leeds, they've got an amazing teenage and young people's cancer service. But I sort of fell between the cracks. So I was diagnosed at 19, going on 20. So I was on the adult ward, but
you're not an adult at 19.
No. And so, you know, it was wholly inappropriate, the adult ward, because there's a lot of older people, and but the paediatric ward, but I was still under paediatric oncology eventually here in Leeds because of it. And I have all my long-term follow-up through the paediatric oncology service here in Leeds.
So then you had the operation, and tell us about that. How long afterwards did it take to, you know, did you feel like it was the right decision to get back in, and then how long about getting back into swimming and things like that?
I never ever thought it was the wrong decision, because one of the things that I'd read somewhere that about keeping a diary, and so for those 3 months up to amputation in the September of '96, I kept a diary about the difficulties I was having. And I thought, if ever I think, what have I done? I'm in a worse state, etc., I'll go back and read that diary. And I've never read it. I've still got it, but I've never read it.
It's one of those that you're like, I'm always going to go back to that, and then you don't.
Well, it was a bit more like if I regretted it.
Okay.
If I thought, oh my God, what have I done?
Oh,
to go back to read that and say, actually, that's why I did it. That was the reason that I had to go down this route. And also there was some sort of validation, because when I had the operation, they spoke to me afterwards, and he said that in the knee joint, the bushes which are in the joint, the hinge joint, were completely shot, and they would have had to be replaced again anyway. So, and it was in a mess. So it was the right decision, but it was a very hard thing to do, to choose to have my leg amputated. But I just hoped it would give me that quality of life. And it was very difficult at first. As usual, I was like, right, I want to get out of here, I want to go home. So I got myself discharged after 6 days after amputation, which was probably a very big mistake. And was at the limb centre in Leeds, walking up and down on a sort of very basic device, far too much, far too quickly. So took me a while to recover from that. And I struggled with the NHS, as we know, and even back then had huge pressures of, not enough finance, and the limb services weren't great then. And I tried and tried for 18 months. And while all this was going on, we were taking legal action against South Birmingham Health Authority. So by the time, you know, I started to get a settlement and an interim payment, I was able to go privately for limb fitting, which just made the world of difference to me.
So all of this has happened, and what we'd kind of I'd like to do in this conversation is talk around the theme of resilience. And so how do you deal with this? And I read in one of your blogs you put people often say to you, like, gosh, you've had really bad luck, and you kind of said that you think of it as not just not luck, or not like a hand dealt to you, it's just life. And it'd just be interesting to hear how you get that resilience yourself.
Well, I must say it's taken me a lot of years to get to that point where I think that, because you start to go down that route of, oh no, why me, and I got to a point where I thought, maybe it's the same for everyone, in that we all have our ups and downs. There's always peaks and troughs, but obviously for some people like myself, the troughs are a lot lower, but which means the peaks can be a lot higher as well. And now even my little boy who's 9 said to me the other day, Mummy, you have such bad luck. I can't remember what has happened, but he said, you have such bad luck, Mummy. And I said the same to him. I said, actually, Joe, I think this is just what we call life. And I think if you just keep going expecting it to get better, then you're always going to be disappointed. And I've always said until recently that I think it's subconscious, the way that I deal with things, because people say, oh, you're so brave, you're so this, you're so that, you've got such bad luck. And I think, well, no, I just get on with it. And I think part of that is an inbuilt drive in myself when I think back, to being a child. And at 14, I knew I wanted to be a PE teacher, so I volunteered at the junior school of the school I was at, and I went and taught PE every one afternoon a week from being 14 with the teacher there. So I think I've got an inbuilt drive and a determination, which has taken me an awful long way. But now I think about it more, and I read more, and in my job I read more. And then one of our lecturers introduced me to some PhD work one of our students is doing around how you reflect and set goals, and how you use the learning that you've got to put it into practice for all the situations that you face in the future. So when I have looked into that more and read more, I think that's exactly what I do. And so it's about setting yourself goals. And I am one of these people who like to set big goals, but I say to all the people I work with is just set yourself little goals, achievable goals. They've got to be meaningful, they've got to be achievable. You just search on Google goal setting template or pro forma, and a bazillion images come up that you can use, and documents come up that you can use. And I think a lot of the cancer patients I work now, do my volunteer work, they're more elderly, so it's setting small achievable goals, and ones that where you can take action, and they're personally significant to you. So if before people have had cancer, they walk their dog every day, and now they can't do that because of the treatment that they've had. I say to them, well, why don't you think about, you're going to try, your goal is to walk your dog round the block twice a week now. And they go, yeah, but before I could do this. And I certainly find it with 5K your way. Yeah, but I could take 10 days before. And I think part of that is that acceptance of where we're at now. And I think acceptance, I never say, because people say, how did you accept that? How did you come to terms with what happened to me? And I say, I don't. I just, it's not acceptable. It's not something anyone could come to terms with, and you just learn to live with it.
Yeah.
But what you do is I think what we all need to do is say, okay, well, whatever we've done before, it's so easy to say, but I used to be able to do this and I used to be able to do that, is to go, okay, but what can I do now, despite what's happened, whether it's you've had a knee replacement, whether you've been treated for cancer, whether you've had a fall out there sledging, or whatever it is, that you say, where am I at now? And what are these small things that I can achieve, and use some of the skills that you've learned before, that you've used to get through difficult situations, and say, okay, well, what did I do? What strategies did I use to get through that? And I think a lot I disassociate myself with it, so I can almost tell it like this, like it's a story. And also, just things like talking to people and getting that support, and it doesn't have to be therapy, or it can be through certain friends and family, and finding people who you can really link with and share things with. They're the people that you need to turn to at times like this, because people feel helpless as well and they want to do something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask as well. Oh, is there an echo? Sorry, is that me?
That's okay.
If you can you kind of give us some more? So talking to people is a great method, obviously, of dealing with it. But what if somebody's not in the place to talk to somebody? I know you said about writing your blog. Would you recommend that as a different method?
Yeah, writing in any form, whether it's creative writing like poetry, or writing songs, or just writing in a diary, treating yourself to a nice diary. And one of the things that I can't remember who it was that, oh yeah, it was a friend of mine, Kerry Eddy, who's she's an ex-Olympic athlete, and she did a bit of coaching with me last year, and it's about the 3 gratitudes and the 3 positives, finding 3 positive things out of each day. Because when you're in these really rubbish situations, you can just think, like now with COVID, people are like, well, the kids aren't at school, I'm furloughed from my job, I've got no money, and everything can feel so awful. And it's relative to everyone as well. Like my stuff, people say to me, oh, I don't know how you cope with that. Well, everybody has challenges, don't they, that they have to deal with it. And some may appear worse than others. Like, I might be being treated for cancer, like I have been twice now. And then people say, oh, yeah, but that's nothing to what you've been compared to what you've been through. But I definitely think starting off with the focus of finding even one positive thing each day. So, whether it's all you can find is it's not raining, for example, because it's been raining a lot, hasn't it?
Yes.
Just finding one positive thing, or you got a card from somebody that that was thinking about and cares about you. So anything that you can find. So writing these, and some people call them the gratitudes. So you can write these down, or just write your feelings down and offload them onto the page. I often say that to people: keep a notebook on the bedside table, and just write things and almost offload it out of your head onto paper, or write a blog or a book or anything. Really, really helps.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, brilliant. And so we haven't even talked about your breast cancer in 2017. Can you talk us through that time as well?
Yeah, I found a lump in my breast, and probably found it around September time, but I was too busy. I was here, there, and everywhere working. I also run a teaching business, teaching sign language. I was doing all that, and I met a friend who'd recently been treated for breast cancer. And I know, because I had an afternoon off because it was my birthday, so we said, let's go for a coffee. And I sort of leant on the table and I was like, and she said, what's the matter? And I said, oh, I've got this lump. And she was like, you need to get it checked out. And she sort of gave me some advice, and I did. And I went to the doctor the next day, and very quickly I went for an appointment at the hospital, and they told me that day. I went on my own, not expecting anything. Luckily, another friend worked at that hospital, and when things started to look very, very bad, he came and supported me. But the guy, I was just in total shock, and he said, you've got breast cancer. and it's aggressive, and you'll have to have chemotherapy, surgery, and radiotherapy. And I said, and he knew when he'd examined me, he knew about my leg. He'd asked, because obviously I've got a prosthetic leg, so it's a bit obvious. And he was horrified about what happened the first time. So I said to him, you know, you've only just taken the biopsies, you've got no results. And he said, I'm 99.9% sure. And I remember coming out with my friend, and she just said, I was glad that she was there, in the sense that I thought, I can't walk out of here and tell my family that I've definitely got breast cancer, because they'll be like, but how? And she confirmed to me that it was, I think she said, well, there's no doubt about that then, is there? And so, yeah, so then that, and he said to us that day as well, oh, it was probably caused by the chemotherapy you had before.
How do you take in that information?
I do struggle with that one, actually, because I almost now think, I wish that had never been said, because obviously if you've got cancer and you have the treatment and the devastating side effects that people go through, that you almost can carry on, because you know otherwise you might be dead, literally. Whereas you go through all that treatment thinking you've got cancer, you have all the same treatment as somebody who would if they had cancer, and then they say, oh, actually, sorry about that, we made a mistake, you didn't need any of that. That's very difficult to rationalize. Whereas, so when he said it was probably caused by the chemotherapy, and I sort of said to my friend, oh, what, the chemotherapy didn't need. So that's a known side effect as well of cancer treatments, that they can cause other cancers, which is just nuts. It's mind-blowing. So I find that difficult still, but I just thought, I wish he hadn't said it, because it is what it is. Can't change it. Can't change the treatment I had. And somebody today just asked me about my leg, and I just very briefly said, and I said, but the thing is, you know, you can't. Although obviously the Department for Work and Pensions think it will grow back every year or so, or in 2026, when I don't need
grow back
my mobility allowance or anything. But that's another story.
Okay. We won't go into that one.
No, it's you know, just sort of, you can't change it once they've amputated or part of your body. It's gone, isn't it? And so you have to just learn to live with it and find ways to cope. But yeah, then I went through a really horrific year in 2017, again having really aggressive chemotherapy. I had a mastectomy and reconstruction and 8-hour surgery, and then I had to have another one 2 weeks later because all the skin went necrotic. And so I think I had 3 operations that year, and then I had 15 rounds of radiotherapy as well. So but I am cancer free as far as I know at the moment.
Yeah, that's brilliant. But you get this next diagnosis, and is it just that one day you kind of think like, right, I'm going to be positive, I'm going to put all this crap behind me and move forward?
Is
that what happened?
No, what has happened is I'd done a pool equivalent of the English Channel. That's what if I've got a goal, something I'm working, I'll do it. Whereas if it's just training for training's sake, I just find that really hard, like a lot of people. So setting, like I say, setting small goals, whether it is really, really useful. And they'd done a little bit of filming me at the university in the pool when I did the pool equivalent, because I raised money for Aspire, the spinal injuries charity. And they contacted me and said, you know, you're a really good swimmer. You know, we do have these channel relays, actual channel relays. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah. And then 2 weeks later, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So when they got in touch with me the next year, when they had another round of it, I said, oh yeah, I'm still really interested, but I've been out of the water for 10 months because I had a central line and then a PICC line in my arm, and you know, had breast cancer. But they said, well, why don't you come anyway? And so I still went and nearly died, literally swimming 400 meters because I had been not swum for 10 months.
This determination is unbelievable.
And I got offered a place, so then that gave me a real focus. This was November of 2017.
And how long had you been having treatment until then?
January. From January
so almost a year.
Yeah. And then we were due to swim the channel in the August of
the next year,
2018. So I had 8 months to
gosh.
get
And
fit.
how was that? How was the training? Tell us all about that.
It was amazing because they organise it really well. If you swim it for a charity, you tend to get quite good support. Certainly from Aspire, we did.
Okay.
And we did lots of training weekends in Dover where we were chucked in the night and we were in the cold and all of that. But it was brilliant preparation. And then I did many a mile in the pool. And I swam with a team of 5 others who at first, when I was put with that team, I didn't know them. And, you know, many of those and people on the other teams are really good friends now. And then we swam across the channel on the 31st of August in 2018.
Amazing. What an achievement. That is so cool. Really, really incredible achievement. And what is your why with swimming? You know, like it could be with anybody with running or any, you know, exercise they do. Like what motivates you to train for it?
I think, like I've said, having something to train for rather than just training for training's sake. The fact that for me, I don't swim with a leg on or anything, and then I can just feel free in the water. When I do anything else, when I walk, when I cycle, you know, sometimes my leg falls off and, you know, all difficult things like that. But when I'm in the water, I can just get on with it.
It's so liberating.
Yeah, it's really liberating. And I feel free, and I've swum in the outdoors now since 2012. And I've gradually got more and more adventurous and better with it. And still swimming at this time of year in the outdoors. And at the moment, it's a bit tricky because of lockdown, because you can only go local. But we went in the river on New Year's Day, my friends and I. So I've got another, quite a few crazy outdoor swimming friends. And but you know, I've got one particular friend, Natasha, who I swim with a lot, and we go in the rivers and the reservoirs and the lakes and the sea, and her and I, together with another friend who was on one of the other relay teams before, we are going to swim a 3-person channel relay in June of this year.
This year?
Yes, if we can ever get training back to the pool.
So you've got a pool in your garden though, don't you?
Oh, I do, but I'm looking at it right now, and not only is it snowing like mad, it's got an inch thick of ice on the top.
Oh.
I'm not really an ice swimmer. I have friends who go and literally pickaxe the ice and get in. But to me, it's such a faff with the leg and all that if I'm going to get in, it has to be to do at least 20-minute training session. Otherwise, it's just not
worth it.
No, it isn't. It isn't. But thanks to another friend of mine who nominated me, I won a Peloton bike before Christmas.
Oh, so
I've got that here. So that's going to form the main part of my training for the time being.
Fantastic. Oh, good luck. I really hope you get to do it. Fingers crossed by June. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Well, don't forget, I only had 8 months after recovering from breast cancer treatment.
No, I mean more in terms of COVID.
Oh yes, yeah.
I don't have any doubt you can do it.
I think as well, it's like with all of this and everything else that's happened to me, it's like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll just try and deal with it, and try not to have too many expectations.
That's such a great way of thinking about it. Just, you know, it is what it is. And I know we said 45 minutes, but I just really quickly wanted to talk about that you are a volunteer at the Leeds Teaching Hospital, and I know you're a cancer rehab instructor as well. So why are you passionate about supporting other people that live with and beyond cancer to exercise?
Well, I was quite shocked. The treatment I received with the breast cancer was second to none. You couldn't, and the staff were amazing, but there was very little support around keeping physically active during treatment. And with it since I've been treated in the last 3 or 4 years, it's really exploded of the benefits of doing so. But at the time, it was never mentioned by any of the clinicians or anyone, and there weren't really very many support services. Since then, I found out there's plenty of things out there, but there's just no joined up thinking around it.
Yeah,
there wasn't 5K your way then, and I did feel as if I'd been cheated a bit. Of even though I work in the field of physical activity, my colleagues, my friends, you know, a lot of my friends are very physically active, because I worked full time throughout my treatment as well, because I just got a full time lectureship. So I was so focused on working and not being off work and, you know, getting through the treatment, that I couldn't even see how I could, you know, get through this. And one of the things that I did, I went to at Harrogate Convention Centre, Yorkshire Cancer Research put on a big day, and one of the taster sessions they had there was for Pilates, and I absolutely loved it. I burst into tears after. The instructor, who I'm friends with, she will tell you, and I just thought I would never be able to do things like that again, and I just thought there needs to be easier access to physical activity. So I asked at the Cancer Sports Centre, who again is run by wonderful people, staff and volunteers, but again, very little, because they rely on expert volunteers to do it, and they just didn't have anyone. So I went away and did a CAN rehab instructor course for cancer rehabilitation and exercise. And I said to Louise, who's the manager, who's lovely, I said, I'll do it for you. So I've been doing that since January of 2019, I think. And we've just recently started offering it virtually for patients. So I'm leaping around in my lounge now on a Tuesday morning doing that.
Brilliant.
And taking it sort of into people's homes with tins of beans and
water bottles,
dining room chairs, you name it.
Fantastic. And that kind of like leads us nicely into 5K Your Way. What is 5K Your Way to you? Why did you become an ambassador?
Well, I heard about 5K Your Way, and obviously for me, running is an absolute nightmare. It's my worst nightmare as an above knee amputee. I would love to be able to run. I can jog. I learned how to do it. A couple of American Paralympic athletes came over years ago, and I learned how to do it, but it's so difficult as an above knee amputee. I really admire, and it does make me laugh when people say, oh, these legs are amazing, and it makes you even better. It just makes me nearly want to roll around on the floor and laugh, because
not the right thing to say.
Anything where there's an interface between you and a piece of equipment is never, ever, ever going to come near to what you can do on an ordinary leg. So that is a myth, definitely, no matter what you have on the bottom. So those above knee amputees who are sprinters and ultra marathon runners, you know, with two amputated legs, you know, I take my hat off to them. Amazing. But when I heard about 5K Your Way, and that it was a bolt-on to park run, and the fact that it was encouraging people to move who were living with and beyond cancer to actually move more, and that's what I say to people. It's about getting moving and trying to combat some of those side effects and long-term side effects we have from cancer treatment, like the fatigue, and psychologically as well. It just moving and come along, because you know, go along to it, because you can just walk, and even if you just walk a little bit, it'd be brilliant. And I looked at the website at the time and thought, I want to bring this to Leeds. And at the time they weren't it said on the website they weren't taking any more cities, because it had just gone with popularity. And then a chap called Stephen, who works in the local authority, he was at a conference where I spoke at the university, and then he approached me afterwards and said, I was really inspired by what you said, and you know, I'd like to bring this to Leeds. And I said, oh, but we can't. And he said he'd been in touch with Lucy, and you guys had said that we could. So then I got in touch with a friend of mine who, after breast cancer, Eleanor, who'd got into running, and she is a fantastic running ambassador. And then I met another lovely lady who is a physio for cancer patients, Lynn, and we all became the ones who set it up in Leeds. And we just really want to encourage people to meet others who are in similar situations, to just get outside and enjoy the outdoors, and to just get moving. And people don't have to run 5K, but if they can, fantastic. And Eleanor has just been amazing. She's an amazing ambassador for 5K Your Way, and she's done loads of challenges recently going after having breast cancer. And her and I have become firm friends through this as well. So that's one of the great things, you know, about having cancer, is that you meet really nice people and you meet friends for life that otherwise you wouldn't have met.
That get it.
Yeah. And that you wouldn't have met otherwise, because out of a rubbish situation, there's a lot of camaraderie, and you see that from the 5K Your Way ambassadors. You know, there's a lot of camaraderie there, and people who get it, and you know, they want to keep going and they want to achieve, and then, you know, us as ambassadors can help people to, you know, educate their families as well, because still very much the thoughts are, oh, if you've got cancer, lie on the couch and we'll just feed you a load of cake, and you know, and people don't realize the amount of research that's out there that really suggests that staying active during and after treatment, that even can help with certain cancers to prevent recurrence of cancer as well. And there's firm evidence there. That's not just a sort of another myth that's been plucked out of the air. And obviously the Move charity that you work with, it very much represents that. And it's just so important. And I couldn't encourage people enough. And you don't have to swim the channel or run an ultramarathon or do any flipping spectacular thing. You know, set yourself a little goal. And this is what one of the ones that I say to the people I work with the most is, when the kettle's boiling, march on the spot. Even if you use the kitchen counter to steady yourself, just march on the spot. Because the latest guidance from 2019 is that for adults, 150 minutes of moderate physical activity. And of course, everyone goes, 150
sounds like a lot.
God. But the latest research, before the latest research, it was like even 10-minute bouts count. But the latest research and the advice from chief medical officers is that any amount will contribute to the 150 minutes. So if you march on the spot for 3 minutes every time the kettle boils, and you boil the kettle 4 or 5 times a day, think about how many minutes that's going to be by the end of the week.
Yeah, fantastic. That's such a great bit of advice. Yeah, everybody should be doing that when they're making their tea. Brilliant. Definitely. Well, I mean, I feel like I've got so many more questions, and people on here are saying such lovely comments. Hi from Wendy. Hi Lisa. Hi Jodie Jones. Lovely to see you all saying hello. And you know, we have got more questions, but we said that I need to like be strict and keep it under an hour. So I'm going to finish on something that I read in another one of your blogs. I think I'll put the link to your blogs if that's all right with you, for people to read. I think they're fantastic. But one of them that I really enjoyed was you were talking about that sometimes maybe you're late or you're untidy or things like that. But then actually what you said was, what I do know is that I definitely won't need to put, I wish I spent more time enjoying life on my gravestone. I may need to put, I should have spent more time tidying up or washing or ironing or cleaning. I thought that was a great way to finish.
It's true. And my husband would just be nodding vigorously in the background. Luckily, he's got compulsive tidying disorder. That's what I call it anyway. So he keeps me in check.
Brilliant. And I just think, you know, everything you said truly encompasses that, you know, enjoy life. What's the point of, you know, like you say, you don't have to go and swim the channel, but you can do what you set out to do, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't try and set yourself up to fail with things just because you could do them before, especially people with, even if you have an injury. But, you know, obviously we're talking quite a lot specifically about people who have got or had cancer. But anybody with a health condition or an injury, you know, just try. And I get frustrated. Don't get me wrong. I get really frustrated when my leg falls off when I'm trying to get on the bike, or it stops me doing what I want to do. My friends would tell you that. But, you know, just try and be in the moment, enjoy life, but set yourself little goals and keep moving whenever you can.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Vicki. I've loved talking.